But so we're going to go ahead and record this so that other members of the community can get this information too. And we're going to go ahead and start jumping right on in on things. And big shout out to Shelby from the Dallas STRA. We're really excited to help the Dallas community get this ban pulled, and we love what the Dallas STRA has put together, and we're here to collaborate, come together, and really make this thing happen so that this ban gets pulled. So, and any other community members, feel free to speak up, or people who have community organizations to some degree. We want to work with all of you and reach our shared goal of knocking this ban out. So, all right, I think we're going to go ahead and jump on in. So, first off, I wanted to thank everybody for joining. Now, this is a really special situation because this is one of our first virtual meetings and everything like that. And what we're doing is we're building things up for the in-person meeting. Since we've been putting things together to grow this organization so we can stop this ban. And what this means is you guys get very intimate access with myself, Mike Brown, the two main board members, and you guys will be able to, understand deeply the things that we're doing, our background, who we are, and why we want to stop this ban, and why we really have what we believe is the best thing to get this done. And we believe that this will be something where it is a very, very high chance of victory. I'd say I never say it's certain, but let's put it like this: we've done this in 10 cities and we haven't lost yet. So we have very, very good results with the things that we do. So I'm going to jump right on in. But first, I want to go ahead and introduce Mr. Mike Brown, who's the director of the organization. Mike, if you want to go ahead and give a background of yourself, that'd be great. And I can even pull up your profile here on the website. Oh, Mike, I think there you go. Yeah, the number one rule in Zoom, you got to unmute yourself. It happens to all of us. Good.
No worries at all. Well, thanks again for allowing me to be a part of this and collaborating on hosting this event for tonight. I think a lot of people, hopefully they'll be joining us here shortly, but we definitely don't want folks to miss out on this. But just to kind of give a brief introduction about myself. So I am a real estate investor, short-term rental operator here in the Dallas area with a small portfolio. And we have properties in Dallas, Plano, Frisco, and expanding in other areas as well. And so we have had quite a number of years of experience doing short-term rentals. And so we've been involved a little bit more on the latter half of the development recently that the city of Dallas has been doing, along with some of the city council meetings and other events hosted by Dallas Short-Term Rental Association and others. But glad to be a part of this movement and really being an advocate, an educator more than anything, especially for those that are just beginning in their journey with short-term rentals. And this is, the city that they decided to start with, or if there's individuals that have been doing this for a while, that educational piece is so important just because it limits liability and risk for you yourself as an operator, but also for everyone else in the industry. And so, I know there's been some best practices shared from other organizations, other groups. There's definitely some additional ones to add to your tool belt that we'll share tonight and subsequent meetings and events. And love to meet you all tonight and hopefully meet you all in person for our upcoming in-person event as well. So look forward to the rest of what Theron's got, and definitely want to be a resource.
Fantastic. Oh man, Mike, it's crazy. I think there's already a number of folks that already know you because you're home team Dallas. You're a Dallas local, and you've been in the short-term rental industry for a while, and you've been a thought leader, and you've done you're part of a great show that happens on Clubhouse. You've been speaking at a lot of events, and it's so interesting how just us kind of being in certain realms, but knowing about each other, and then realizing, oh man, now Dallas is having this issue, and now we got to, we came together to make this happen. So yeah, Mike, it's like I've known you for a while before I even met you in person, and it's great to be a part of this organization with you. So yep, we're here for the fight, and we should be in really, really good shape if we're able to do what we need to do. So what I'll do is, I think this is a good time. I do want to just shout out two folks that really help get the word out, and really have always been an advocate for Dallas, and really worldwide. But Dallas is really, it's a really fortunate for Dallas to have these folks in their area. I want to shout out the Live Let Thrive team, who also consists of Mike Brown, but Steve Suarez and Micah Ortiz. I really want to shout them out. So big ups to you guys. I mean, this was something y'all have been keeping track of, and as soon as something happened, y'all let me know. We got on the podcast. We you guys are out here for the world's short-term rentals, but now we get to help you guys. So it's a pleasure, and we're glad to have you guys on. All right. Feel free to unmute. It looked like Michael wanted to unmute himself for a second, but no need. I see you eat. You're getting your grub on, man. I don't want to interrupt that.
Yeah, I've got to get my food on, man.
Absolutely. No, man. Hey, look, I got mine out the way right before the meeting. I had to prep all this. So no, that's real important. I'd have zero powers right now. I'd be half asleep, Got to have that energy. Thanks a lot for being on, you guys. So I'll go ahead and jump right on in with a background on what's been happening in Dallas, and then our strategy, this is really the reason why this is going to make the change that needs to be made in Dallas, is because we have a special strategy that's worked in 10 cities that works. It is a perfect fit for what Dallas has going on. And I'll go into that. And then we're going to go into basically what we want out of this, meaning like what we want to see as the result. Instead of having this ban in place, what do we want in place? Because we believe in regulation, but I'm going to tell you, even right now, we believe in regulation that accepts everybody, and then have things in place to punish bad actors. So on a just real normal scale, or real general scale, that's what we want. And I think everybody can agree with that. Oh, there's Steven. All right, there we go. Oh, you got a fresh cut. Oh man, is this recent or? Uh-oh.
Yeah, man. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I chopped it a few days ago.
Okay.
Save a little bit too.
Oh man, I'm bummed. It's like I'm meeting. It looks great. It's like I'm meeting a different person now. I wanted to meet you with the long hair. I'm so used to seeing you with the long hair, So, but I'm gonna get used to it. It definitely, it's on point. It's on point. It's definitely on point.
Has enough hair for both of us, so we're good.
That is true. It has grown since the photos have been taken. Like that. Look, the logo in the background. Oh man, that's like. Who's that over there on your left, Micah? Is that can't be you? That's you? I'm playing. Oh man. Yeah, hey, that's all the extra experience, That's great. Okay, so let's jump right on in. So this is what's been happening, and this is just a very what's the right word? This is a summary, a very broad summary, because I don't think it makes sense to go into all the fine details, but it's a very broad summary, especially about what's happened recently. And I want to go over that with you guys. So first of all, before I go into what they're really proposing right now, I want to say that there's a large amount of background that's been in place. Dallas has Dallas has had their eye on the short-term rental industry for a while, over 2 years, and in that process, they had put together the city government had put together a task force, and then also other task forces. But this the goal of that was to have a group of folks that represent, let's say, both sides of the issue, to be able to come together and make good regulations that are great for the industry, great for neighborhoods, great for the government, et cetera. And this was something that they had been working on for a while. And what happened was the proposal that came out of the main task force basically just got rejected by city council, and basically an agreement was not able to be made. And so with that, there was a key figure there that was also really helpful that also ended up departing, and it just basically set things back for the city with regards to making progress on an ordinance that would be actually good for everybody. And so, the city basically started doing things on their own terms. They'll put it like that. They started proposing their own ordinance line items, and that is basically where we're at now. And again, I want to shout out the community that has been a part of this for over 2 years. You guys have a standing community that I want to recognize that has been doing a fantastic job getting people activated, getting the word out, going to these meetings, getting people to go to these meetings. And, I understand their frustration where these things, you do all this stuff and the city council still doesn't listen. So, this is the situation that, council has brought before us at this point. No matter how, much we are as a community was shouting, they were not listening, and they put together these unfair proposals that they could be putting in play as soon as 45 days from now. And really, it's probably more like a 30-day situation. So again, this is something where we really want to focus and work as quickly as possible, because we have enough time to really make these things not happen. But if we wait, this is going to be bad, and it will ban most of the short-term rental industry if the stuff that they're proposing goes through. So now I want to go over some of the ordinance details that they've proposed. And these options, there's multiple things. So they put together these options in one meeting where owner-occupied STRs are allowed in all districts, and then non-owner-occupied STRs are limited in multifamily and non-residential areas. And what that means is they would be taken out of multifamily and non-residential areas. They would be taken out of the residential areas and the multifamily areas. So that would not be good. Then option B is STRs are allowed in all districts. Event venues to be separate use in limited non-residential areas. This is something that would be a decent option, but it is not something that they're really leaning towards. They're definitely very anti-short-term rental overall right now in terms of what they want to pass. So do not expect this to be the option that actually gets pushed. And then option C defines STRs as a lodging use and limits them to areas where only lodging uses are allowed. This is what would eliminate STRs in residential and multifamily areas. And this is the option that's really the worst, and what we should be really focused on making sure doesn't happen. Do not think that this is something that they wouldn't pick. This is where city council is at this point. So this is a very serious situation. And, if we don't act the right way, this is something that will be banning most of the industry. So then some other things that they had on top of that were, we already talked about the restriction of rentals to only non-residential. And then we talked about that. And now they also propose things such as an occupancy cap, which, depending on how that's enforced, could be really bad too. To give an example, if they have an occupancy cap just across the board of, like, let's say no more than 8 people can be in a short-term rental, then, the homes that really could support 12 or more, comfortably, and really rely on that amount of revenue to actually be sustainable, would then be taken out of the industry. And this is not something that hasn't happened in other cities. This is absolutely something that is very likely for them to do. And again, without the right way to give them the awareness that this is, a bad idea, they will do something that makes no sense for folks that have larger homes. And larger homes make up a large part of the industry. That alone could take out a large percentage. It could be 30 to 40% or more. So that's really bad on its own as well. And then the last thing is they proposed a cap on units in buildings. So this is something where if you wanted to start a business, and whether you wanted to buy 6 units or you wanted to rent 6 units, well, let's put it like this: you wanted to buy units or rent units in a building, you would only be able to have 6 of those or less as a short-term rental, or it would be 10%, whichever is less. So you would only be able to have a maximum of 6 short-term rentals in a building. And I think it was also a little unclear whether they wanted to make that, okay, you can only have 6 in any building, or if you as a person or an entity can only have 6, which would be, the first option would be even worse, obviously, because a building with 100 units could only have 6 units as a short-term rental. And that makes zero sense if it's a sensible short-term rental operation, and it works good for everybody. So this is something that they actually got from Chicago, which has a rule based on if you're only one entity could have 6 units max in a building, but it's not just 6 units in one building. It's just each entity could only do a maximum of 6 in a building, and then they'd have to go to another building to do more units than that. And that's something that, because Chicago doesn't have the zoning related matters, which is really the worst thing that's hurting you guys. That's not the end of the world, but this is definitely not something that's sensible. And we definitely wouldn't want that to happen in Dallas for no reason. So what we propose, again, is we want everybody to have the ability to be licensed. And what we would really bring forward first in terms of like a negotiation piece is to initiate a 3-strike rule, which means that if you have a recorded instance, meaning like the fire marshal comes to your place, or like the cops have to come and really shut down a bad party, that is a strike against you. And 3 strikes means that you lose your license for a period of time, and things of that nature. That's something that has been proven in other cities to actually, take out the bad actors and stop people from, becoming bad actors and really getting on their A game. But it doesn't restrict any of the folks that, are doing a great job. And just as an example, the city of Columbus has this rule in place, and they have one of the most sensible short-term rental regulation markets in the country. So this is definitely something that's happened in other places, and it's definitely something that should be good with regards to Dallas. And other cities are considering this as well. This is really looking to be, it might even be a standard moving forward. So that's what we would be proposing. I want to be clear that we're not the type that's going to try and, okay, we're going to give them a bunch to restrict us with. We want to start with just everybody getting the ability to be licensed, but you always need to have something to bring to the table so that you show that you're being considerate of the other party. But I want to also say that in every city, which we've been 100% victorious, it has been where the ban was pulled entirely. It's not something where we had to do a bunch of compromise or anything like that. So that's what we have for what we propose to the city. But before I get ahead of myself, I want to go into what the strategy is and why this is something that will be that will change things and get them to listen. So the way I coined the strategy is the 3 pillars. And what it means is having a strong organization for the advocacy side of things. And that's something that we at Sharing Dallas definitely have and have prepared. We're growing the community, but most importantly, we have good backing. We have a great strategy, the best strategy, and we basically know what to do to get from start to finish. So that's already something that's in place and growing even more. And then you guys have a great community that's already been established through the DSTRA. So you guys already have a level of organization that's really, really fantastic. And so that is something that is a great thing that we have established. Now, that is established. And so then the second pillar is to have a strong connection with what are the OTAs, aka the platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, Expedia, those platforms. So Airbnb in this case is the platform that is best to be linked with. They're doing the most advocacy work in the city, and we have a link with them. Our organization STR Hero in general has a link with them through multiple cities that we've been successful in. So that is important because you're going to want to be able to share information between Airbnb and the community so that we all are on the same page and can get, be united in our offense against this. And what that also does is it helps grow the community because they blast all of the things that we'll be doing. So when we have the in-person event, they'll blast that to hosts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's something that really helps get the community involved, even folks who are not connected to any organization. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, which is really where the action takes place and where you actually get to start making the change, is when you have those other two pillars in place, you then want to have a strong connection with the government and the organization, and really the community in general. And the way that you do that is you first hire a political consultant, aka a lobbyist, that is a perfect fit for what you guys are doing. What that means is it is a lobbying team or a lobbyist that resonates with the cause. Meaning you tell them about the short-term rental story. It's like, hey, this is going to ban 90% of short-term rentals. It's going to hurt a lot of local folks, people it's not big rich folks and fat cats buying up neighborhoods. It's your local community, and in a lot of cases, underrepresented and marginalized individuals in the city. This is really what the reality is. So a lobbyist that really resonates with that and then has the connections with the city, that's what you need to really make your voice heard the right way. And it must be something that is brought on by the community. So you don't want to do something where it is you're using somebody else's lobbyist from some other entity, especially like one of the OTAs. You want to do it where the community has this lobbyist and they're fighting on behalf of them and they're being paid by them, because then they're going to really focus on your issues, and that really makes all the difference. It also, the perception, having an organization that has its own lobbyists, and this is a community organization, means that then the city is going to look at you separate from Airbnb. And I'm just going to be frank with you guys. The city does not, no cities really love, well, I don't want to say no cities really love Airbnb. That's not true. But what I'm saying is cities do not resonate with large corporations that don't have an affiliation with the location, like Airbnb. They affiliate and really resonate with you guys. The power is in you guys' hands. So when you guys have a lobbyist that's fighting for y'all and is doing this professionally, so that you guys can professionally get into the rooms behind closed doors and talk to these city council members, that's literally the big difference and the thing that's needed in Dallas to make this work. That's the secret, and not even a secret sauce. It's not a secret. It's I'm trying to shout it to the heavens. But basically, this is what needs to happen so that you guys can get this bill changed. So, and then in that, we're not, having these behind the scenes conversations with myself or with, and I'm joking right now, but I'm going to throw somebody under the bus or Micah, because Micah is, Micah is secure. Micah is at scale. He's a big fish in the industry. Okay. So, hey, I know I'm blowing your spot up. I know, Micah, my bad. Hey, I'll keep it low key from now on. But basically what I'm saying is, we are strategic with how we introduce people and how we get the decision makers to listen. And this is what makes all the difference. We're not bringing in ourselves and the people who are the most established in the industry. What we're doing is bringing in the people that are really going to be the most affected and that make up the most of the community, which is mainly local business owners, whether they're homeowners or they own a short-term rental brand. And these are usually folks between 2 to 3 properties. And these folks, and I bet you, I would hope that there's a lot of you folks in this room right now. You guys are not, super huge or anything like that. You guys have a family business. You guys are trying to, get your kids through college. You guys are trying to pay your mortgage. There's a huge demographic of folks that are just trying to get up the socioeconomic ladder, and they're being unfairly targeted by this ordinance. That makes up most of the industry, okay? And what we're going to be doing is bringing in those folks, and even more specifically, folks that the specific council members resonate with the most. So if there's a council member that really focuses on female entrepreneurs, then we are going to get somebody from that district that is a female entrepreneur in the short-term rental space to speak about why this industry is so great for them and their community, and what would happen if this were to be banned. And I know that a lot of you all have done a lot of this in terms of speaking during public comments and maybe speaking one-on-one when you can with city council members. But I really have to stress, the reason why they're not hearing you guys is because it's not being done in the right fashion. Doing it this way, where you have a consultant that you guys have hired, okay, the people's consultant, meaning the people's lobbyist that we would hire on you guys' behalf, and have them introduce this professionally to city council members, and you go into their office and speak to them. It is literally like night and day, and that is what a lot of the industry isn't doing, and why things are being banned. But in the cities that are doing this, and all the cities that we've worked in, that's what makes it succeed. So I really want to make sure that people understand that is the big difference and the biggest change that's going to allow this to happen. Now there's a ton of little things and a ton of kind of nuances that I can talk about, but I really want to give you guys the main hammer here, so you guys can easily understand what our plan is and why it's so effective. So, and also, I know there might be many people that have questions, and we want to answer all of them. I mean, it might be some questions like, hey, why is he in this suit right now? Man, what's going on here? I will answer that myself as well. We want to really be transparent and let you guys know who we are and why we want to do this. And, and Mike is a member of your community. Like, we do this, for you guys, and we want to really make sure that we explain this and answer any of you guys' questions. So that is the strategy. And the last thing that I want to say is, to do this strategy, we have done a lot of the heavy lifting. We've already created the advocacy organization that's made specifically to get this ban pulled. We have the full back end set up where we got everybody on this call. We're putting out events. We're fundraising. We're doing all of the stuff, all of the heavy lifting that's needed to really get this stuff done. What we absolutely need is, as many people to support us, join our email list, stay aware, spread the word as possible. We need that, okay? We don't need everybody, and we definitely, even just based on the people that are joining in, we know we have what it takes to succeed. But the more of you guys that know what's going on and can let other people know that, hey, we have a solution here. We have somebody who's an ally that's joining forces with the rest of the community to really get this done. That's what we would love to have, and it only helps the cause. So that's absolutely what we need, and that's why we're doing this, is to raise awareness, let you guys know what's going on. And then the second thing is, with the awareness, we want you guys to understand what's happening. We want you guys to understand us, to know who we are, because I know a lot of you guys probably have never heard of us or heard of me, probably heard of Mike, definitely heard of the Live, Let, Thrive podcast and the folks on this chat, but we want to make sure you guys understand who we are, so you can get to know us. And with that, we do also have a fundraising goal to be able to hire the lobbyists that we need to get this done. And we've had some great donors that have already donated to really get us about halfway there. We need to raise the other half so that we can get this going ASAP. We would love to have this rocking and rolling and have the lobbyists picked and hired by next week. That would be ideal, because then we can start getting into these meetings within the beginning of September, middle of September. We really don't have a moment to waste. We want to start having these meetings to change the minds of these decision makers before they vote this and ban your short-term rentals. So I have done a ton of speaking right now. I'm finally done, but I hope that was informative. And what I really want to do is pass the mic to Mike. I want to give Mike the floor, and just if he wants to add anything, we'll go ahead and go there. And then I want to open up the floor for questions. I'm really looking forward to all the questions you guys may have. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Theron. Well, again, I know we had some additional folks join us. Thank you for hopping on tonight. We know you all are very, very busy. I know we've been doing a lot of talking, and I know in a moment we'll do some more Q&A. But for everyone that is with us now, just to get a feel for the folks in the room, because I know it varies from person to person. If you've been involved in any of the in-person or virtual, city council, ZOAC meetings that they've had, I want you to go ahead and put the number of times you've been to those in the chat. So for everyone that can hear the sound of my voice, I want you to go ahead and put that in. So if it's 3 times, put in 3. If it's 5, put in 5, so on and so forth, just to kind of get a feel. We'll come back to that here in a moment. But I will say that I definitely want to reiterate a lot of things that Theron already mentioned. And I think it's really, really key that as we look at from the advocacy standpoint and proactive approach before the regulations happen is super, super critical. Just because we've seen, and for any of you all that have been involved in any of the Facebook groups and things of that nature, the different perspectives that people have, even on the pro side. And so just understanding that it is really, really critical that we're all on board to be able to move this forward and be able to have a strategic, intentional approach to this moving forward, because that's really what it's going to take. I'm really, really, honored and humbled to have Theron as a part of our team, having done this before in multiple cities. And, he shared his experience. I think it's important to note that I would say we have a heavy hitter on our team, but even more so once we get the lobbyists involved on our behalf, that's really what's going to move the needle forward. So thanks, Theron, for everything you're doing and continuing to do. I definitely want to see more operators tap in and start to step up to the plate. But like with anything, myself and others who have already committed, whether it's time, financial commitments, and things of that nature towards this effort, we aren't going to wait for that, because if we wait, then we'll keep waiting and then it'll be too late. So, I'll stop talking and open it up. Theron, if you want to go ahead and transition, unless you had any other particular talking points for me to focus on, but just excited to be a part of this. I definitely don't want to be the person to have the perspective of gloom and doom, but I do want to, instill, the sense of urgency with all of this. So I know in the past, things have just been kicked around and the can has been kicked down the road. But anyway, just a more focused effort. And I think being able to have this type of organization and the focus area that it represents is going to be crucial to helping improve some of the communications and transparency, as well as get more people involved. I'm not sure if you shared, I know I dropped off for like literally a minute, if you shared any metrics on engagement and, number of hosts or percentage of hosts that even know that any of this stuff is going on at all. But, you've seen it in other cities where there's a small percentage, even if the ban happens or if the ban doesn't happen, people will be like, well, oh, there was a proposed ban. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm still in business. So anyway, education, transparency, and sharing with others, and creating that close-knit network. So I'll stop there, and thanks, Darren.
Oh man, Mike, you were just dropping gem after gem. You said you were just going to reiterate what I was saying, and you just started dropping stuff that I was like, man, I knew I was missing something. I needed to add something there. What's going on? How did I forget that? Yeah, Mike, I really couldn't agree with you more. I really, especially guys, so I'm going to say two things. I want you guys to really understand that, and especially, you folks who have joined in right now, you might be like, okay, hey, there's a number of us on this call, but like, man, we got 2,000 plus people in the Dallas Facebook group. Where are they all at, man? Why isn't everybody here? And why isn't everybody showing up to meetings? Why doesn't everybody understand what's going on? Here's the thing. I just want to give you guys some data that could sound disheartening, but should actually be very reassuring. In all of the cities where we were dealing with a ban, and again, in all the cities where we were dealing with a ban, we were successful. And in those cities, after the ban got pulled, I'm telling you guys right now, only between 20 to 30% of the whole community even knew there was a ban in place. Okay. It sounds wild. It sounds really I don't know the right word. It just sounds like, dang, I mean, you don't care enough about your business to kind of check on some regulations and some rules. I mean, it's in the news. How do y'all not know this is going on? But it is a fact of the industry, but that's also should be a good thing for you guys, because what this means is the beautiful part about this is not, we don't need the masses to get this done. This is like, I mean, not to talk about military related stuff, but this is like, okay, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna do it like this. Think about, this isn't about like a battle of troops, like World War II, 1 million people versus 1 million people, etc. This is like SEAL Team 6 going in and taking out a target and getting things done. Okay, you just need a small group of skilled folks, which you already have. You already have the skilled people that are the best in the world at doing this. And then you just need a portion of the community to support. And you are absolutely like perfectly poised to get this done. That's how we got this done in all the other cities that had bans proposed. And we did not need the majority of the population. And you won't get the majority of the population, but that should make you feel good, because you don't need that. Now, and because you guys are on this call, you guys should consider yourselves, you should pat yourselves on the back, and you should consider yourselves, you should think really highly of yourself, because that means you're part of that population, part of the SEAL Team 6 that is actually knows what's going on and is going to be a part of making a huge change in your city. So I just really wanted to say that. And Mike, you're absolutely right. I know that feels disheartening because, and I'll say this last piece, because I'm sure people will ask in the Q&A section of this, like, who am I? How did I start doing this? Why am I doing this? And I'm going to tell you, the way that Mike and probably all of you are feeling, that is how I was feeling. Because my origin story is that I am a short-term rental host as well. I'm from Houston, Texas. I started my short-term rental business in Detroit, Michigan, though. And I did everything by the book. I looked at the regulations, saw there were none. I thought I was good. I saw that, it seemed like it was somewhat favorable. There were no issues. I'm like, great, it must be quote unquote open season. I'm good to go. Let me establish my business. And I left my well-paying engineering job that I hated and was like, all right, I'm going out on my own. And I'm putting all my savings into this. Hey, if I lose, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to bet on myself. And, I got to the point where I was able to establish myself. I built my short-term rental business. I made something of myself entrepreneurially. Like, I bet all of you feel this, the same way about yourself. And, I was finally getting to the point where I was able to support myself regularly and not pinch all the pennies and, eat ramen noodles or whatever, all that stuff. So I did that, and it took me 3 years before I got to the point where I was getting, and then I got a message in the mail, not in the mail, in email, showing a news article saying that Detroit City Council was going to ban Airbnbs / short-term rentals in 2 weeks. So I went from 3 years of building my business to about to lose it all in 2 weeks. So I know how you guys feel right now. I just really want to make sure that's clear. And this all started because I needed to save myself. I needed to save my own business, save my livelihood. And I went from almost losing everything to learning how to advocate for the industry through a ton of trial and error. And I'm just thankful that I got this, now I'm thankful that I got this thrown on me so I could figure this out, because we figured it out. We got the ban pulled. Detroit is completely legal with short-term rentals. And now even the state has what's called a preemption bill, which means that bans can't be made against short-term rentals in those cities. So cities can't put in, they can't introduce a ban because of what's happening, because of everything that we did. So like that is where this all started for me. And then we started going to other cities and we learned that, hey, this is really what the world needs right now. This wasn't just Detroit. The same strategy is working in every city that we go in. Okay, I'm talking Ferndale, Michigan, Charlotte, North Carolina, Fayetteville, Northern Arkansas, and surrounding cities. Okay, and we're in the process of turning over an ordinance that's already in place in Philadelphia. Okay, that's how powerful this is, and that is why we are doing what we're doing, because the industry worldwide needs this, and Dallas is next. We are so happy to be able to, do this for you guys and have you guys be the next people to have your ban pulled and keep your businesses safe. So that's me in a nutshell, because I know people are wondering, unless they've seen me on some podcast in this superhero outfit, they have no idea. So I really want to make sure you guys understand. So I'm going to stop talking yet again, and I'm going to open up the floor for questions. So first off, what I always like to do in these meetings is, I know there's folks that don't have their video on. Please turn your video on, because we're a community. We want everybody to see the faces that are on this call and really feel like they're a community, not just a bunch of names or numbers or anything like that. So please take a moment, turn your video on.
I turned my video on. You're going to see a hot mess.
Is that Vera?
That is, you know what? Look, I came in from a workout in a meeting, actually a workout, then a meeting. And so I came in on late, but so forgive my questions. I had a couple of questions.
Sure, go right ahead. I was going to say
what
real
is your
quick.
to-do list for us? And because I probably missed that.
For sure. Really quick, I want everybody to know. So first of all, we're going to prioritize people with their videos showing, because we want to, we want to foster this community and make sure everybody understands that, hey, these are all folks that probably live in your city right now. And then secondly, introduce yourself. Tell us your name. Tell us, where tell us a little bit about your business, and then go through with your questions, so we all kind of get to know a little bit about you. Now, I'm sure a lot of people know who Vera is. She's a fantastic member of the Dallas STRA. Vera, did you want to chime in on anything else? Do any further introductions before we got going?
I've been doing it for almost 7 years now. Have about almost 50, and then we joined the alliance about 2.5 years ago, the Dallas Short-Term Rental Alliance, and in fighting this. And so it's been a long fight, and so interested in what you have to say, and interested in building community, and also interested in anything that you're kind of telling us to do, because at the end of the day, you can't do it by yourself, obviously. And so being that I came in, I have a standing meeting on Wednesday. So being that I came in late, I just wanted to first of all say forgive my ignorance, because you probably already went over this. And that's about it. So thank you for having me.
Vera, thank you for being on the call. So guys, if you guys don't know, Vera, and I'm going to look down here at the audience as well. I think there's other members. Vera has been fighting for you guys for 2.5 years or more. Okay, like you guys have really dedicated people in Dallas, and like we all need the community's help. We need to band together and get this thing pulled. And that's what Vera has been doing for 2.5 years, guys. So like when we talk about the community aspect of this, it's really serious. We have people that are really out here fighting for you. So you guys really need to do your part in join in, support us, listen to what we're saying, and let's get this done. So I just want to take the time to thank Vera and let everybody know. And I hope you guys are, at least, if you don't think her after this call, like at least in your head, oh man, Vera's a rock star. Vera's awesome. Okay. And
I just appreciate being on here. Thank you so much. Enough of all that.
hey, it's the truth. Okay. You were the first person I even saw from the Dallas STRA. All right. Like you were making your voice heard on Airbnb Automated's video, Sean Rakijic. Like you guys have really been out here fostering the community. So that really needs to be.
We love short-term rentals.
Exactly. So to answer your question, Vera, what we went over the strategy and kind of the line items. I think, and I know we've kind of talked about this as well. I think probably, and I think maybe what you're even asking right now is more of like, what are the immediate next steps? What should we be doing like right now? And so, we have those 3 pillars, which is a strong community. And then it's also a strong connection with one of the OTAs, Airbnb, VRBO. And, we have that with Airbnb. And then next, it's the strong connection with the government. And through that, you usually need to have a political consultant that's hired by the people, fighting for the people. So the next step that we are on is really that step. And it's getting the right political consultant hired and ready to introduce us professionally and through the proper channels to these decision makers, and introducing specifically the folks that they care about most. So I said before, it won't be me talking in those meetings. All right, Mike, I'm gonna do it one more time. It won't be Micah talking in those meetings. I think, we're all, we're not the ones that they necessarily care about. We're all secure. I'm not, from the city. I don't live in the city. And what really matters is the folks that they're really there to protect, people that are in their district, people that are much more at risk here. For when this gets passed, they can't pay their mortgage, they can't, get their kids through college, all of these sorts of things that most of the industry is really going to have to deal with if this gets passed. So for the next step to facilitate that is to get that political consultant. And what we're doing right now, we're halfway there, but we need to raise the last bit of funds so that we can get the political consultant, pick the right one, and then get started, ASAP with getting these meetings going. So that is the next step that we have for the community.
And how much are you lacking financially?
For sure. So the goal that we really need to hit is $7,000, and we're at $3,500. So
Okay.
with $3,500 more dollars, we can instantly get the political consultant online, and they can start making those calls and getting us in those rooms ASAP.
And how much is that a month?
So and this is good food for thought for everybody else as well. Typically, political consultants cost between $4,000 to $7,000 a month. It varies on the firm, it varies on the individual, but that's really the general range. So that would be for guaranteed a month, and really, so we believe that this process will take about 3 months. That's generally how long it takes in this, like at this point, when the situation is like this, where there's a proposed ban. So we really want to be prepared for 3 months, but we understand that the community, first of all, we've done this many times. We understand everybody has their businesses. They have, this ain't the oil industry, right? Okay, we all gotta pool our funds together. This is true grassroots politics that we're doing right now. So if we can get to that $7,000 mark, we can really get the ball rolling. And if we hit that point at this time, we're going to be in really good shape. But overall, it's going to take about $20,000 total to get everything done from start to finish for a 3-month period.
So ballpark, you're talking $20,000 that the group would need to come up with. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding. I'm a bottom line kind of person.
For sure.
And yeah, I'm probably, a lot of us on this call are. And then the other thing I don't hear you saying, which I want to clarify, is you're not asking us, or are you asking us to personally reach out to our council members and ZOAC members and stuff like that?
So personal outreach is always great. So that's something that's kind of, what's the word? we always encourage people to do that. We also understand that people, and you know, and thanks to you all's efforts at the Dallas STRA, you know, people have I guess I think you would agree they've been doing that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, but your biggest strategy is hiring. So our biggest to do is to give, and then they will. I guess the lobbyists will contact us if they need stories from us or et cetera.
I'll explain exactly how that works. So when the lobbyist gets hired, what happens is they're going to be. We've already put together a good general profile on like most of the city council members, and then they're going to know a lot about them as well. And what basically is going to happen is we're going to look through that list of council members and say, okay, we need to get to this person right here. What do they care about most? And they're going to be like, okay, you need to bring in somebody who's from their district that is a female entrepreneur, you know. And so bring in 3 of those folks, let's pick those from the community and let's bring them into their office so that they can tell their stories. And then what we would do is we would be reaching out to the community saying, hey, we need, you know, somebody from District 4, you know, and we don't necessarily say, hey, we need someone who's a lady from District 4, but we're just like, hey, we need people from District 4. And then we can get those, the right, you know, people that would be the best representation to then come to those behind closed door meetings. And that's, you know, with the stuff that's already happening, the people showing up to the council meetings, people personally reaching out, that's the piece that's missing right now to really get things moving and get everything activated. So that's when we do that, everything should be locked and loaded, if that makes sense, because you guys have done that so well.
Absolutely. And that does make sense. And I do appreciate you sharing that. And I please forgive me, everyone, because I was coming in late on this. I had to
really asked a question that everybody wanted to know. I think I think that was a great thing to say. Yes.
The other thing I would like to know is do you have enough members that you would be able to pool on? Or is this pretty much your member or is this that's on the call, all of your members? I'm sure you have some that couldn't join tonight, I would assume, from previous obligations. But my thought is would you need to, then in touch with the Alliance if, following these algorithms and patterns of what makes these council members and ZOAC members or whoever you're meeting with, what makes them tick, would you want to, and obviously we talked to Shelby about this. She was on the call and had to get off, but, and she is the president of the Alliance, and also with a legal background. So has been fighting this for years on end, but so would you need to rely on those kind of, if you didn't have someone in that district or anything like that? Or
for sure. So we have our strategy in place to procure those individuals. But this is the thing. But I want to be very clear.
Please do.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
That I ain't doing, that I'm not doing things right. Exactly. So, we love what the Dallas STRA has done. You guys, it would be so great to just be able to say, hey, all right, hey, Dallas STRA, we need this type of person from District 4. I know you guys have been interfacing with tons of people. Who do you guys think would be a great fit? Oh, let's bring Lisa on, and we'll have Lisa get introduced, and then let's bring Shelly, and then let's bring Janice. So I think that would be 3 great people. So let's bring those people into the room, and I think the more access that we can transmit this information to the community, the better. Because that allows us to just get these individuals faster. So that would be very fantastic for if the Dallas STRA could provide that. That's really appreciated.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you answering my questions.
The pleasure was all mine. And again, thank you for all the service that you guys have done over 2.5 years, guys.
It's for everyone in this fight together. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's what it's all about. Thank you. Okay. Fantastic. I think Vera just asked a lot of questions that the people wanted to hear. So I think that was a perfect first question. Let's see. So I see people putting questions in the chat, And I see a really good one from Landon Brazil, but I have to follow my rule here. There's somebody named Carlos who raised his hand and he has his video on. So I'm going to get to him first, but we're definitely going to answer that one, Landon, because that I think that's going to give people a lot of morale here to understand that, hey, we're actually, it's not where we're fighting against Goliath. We're actually Goliath, but we just don't know it, because we doing this the right way, you can be very, very successful. It's highly likely. So Carlos, go ahead and unmute yourself, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business, and ask your question.
Can y'all hear me right now?
I can hear you. You're all good.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. So, yeah, I'm calling because I kind of saw your podcast or your episode with Micah, and it was great. I mean, you gave great information. And one of the questions for me is that I'm kind of like a bottom line first as well. And I'm kind of new to the whole lobbyist action and industry. So with that being said, how is it that there's a way that we could keep up with the metric in terms of the lobbyist that is selected, right? And what metrics are at play, and that we could say, okay, our dollars that are being spent are spent on the best individual for the job and what they could provide?
For sure. That's a great question, and I'm happy to answer it. So the way that we track these metrics is we really look at how many conversations are we getting with the decision makers, and to an extent, what is the result of those conversations. So the example of a bad relationship with a lobbyist is if, again, there's a monthly fee that comes with this, and if in a month they don't have, they don't have one call scheduled with a city council member, then it's like one of two things: either, hey, they are being lazy and not doing their job, and maybe that's not the case, or hey, they don't have the pull or the connection with those folks that they say they do to be able to actually get a meeting scheduled over other meetings. So that's really how we judge this. And in all the cities that we've done this in the past, what we do is every time we have a meeting with one of the decision makers, we give an update to the community and let them know, like, hey, this is we had this meeting with this council member, and this is how it went. And I will say this, with that said, we can absolutely, we absolutely track those things. But one thing, just because this is a behind the scenes kind of nature, we don't and can't give out sensitive information about what was said in those meetings. So sometimes there are things that are said that it's like, okay, hey, this is behind closed doors. We can't put this out in the public, or we lose the trust of that council member. But so there, in all of these situations, there is a level of, hey, we're having these meetings. We just had this meeting and it went really well. Here's some of the bullets of what was discussed and what we did. But there also is a level of, hey, okay, we can't tell you everything that was said in that meeting, because that's the stuff that, it's behind closed doors for a reason. That's where the politics is really done. It's not done in the city hearings. That's really, it's you want to participate in those things, but only doing those doesn't move the needle forward. It's these conversations that are had behind closed doors between the lobbyists, between the city council members, and then the other council members. For every meeting that they're having outwardly and publicly, they're having like 3 to 5 more meetings amongst themselves talking about, how they want to do X, Y, and Z, and doing deals. And that's how all of this works. And I think you kind of understand that, but hopefully that gives you a perspective on how this is tracked. This is something where we're entrusted to hold this lobbyist accountable, because, it's like, hey, we're the ones that have where the community has trusted their funds to us. So that means we owe it to you guys to make sure that this lobbyist is doing what they're supposed to do. And every time that they don't do something, that hurts us. It's like, okay, no, we can't have that. So we need to have an update, or, we're going to let you go. So that's how we operate and how we let people know. So you would get, I think you're signed up to our email list. You would get an email every time that we had something going on. And let's just say for just the immediate stuff, if we're able to get things going this week, then you guys are going to get an update before the end of September, because that's about the time frame that it would take to get one of those first meetings scheduled, if that makes sense. So, you guys would automatically know within the month, oh, okay, this is actually going to a good place. and if something was wrong, we would we would adjust accordingly. So hopefully that answers your question, and just let me know if you had anything else with regards to that.
Yeah, I think that was great. And then secondly, I feel like in the chats there was a certain lobbyist that was brought up as being like maybe who the go-to person was. So like, would there already be a lobbyist that you would have in mind per se, or is it like something where it's open to like a discussion per se?
For sure. So there is a firm that we are looking at, and I want to pull up their name. This was something where they and this was thanks to the Dallas STRA. They have deep knowledge of kind of all the people that show up to these meetings, and they noticed that there was a firm that shows up, and it's like it seemed like when they show up, there's like a change. It's like people kind of listen. The city council's like, oh, okay, hold up. They kind of stop in their tracks a little bit. So that's very likely the firm that we might be using. But I'll tell you the process of really getting the perfect lobbyist. It's not just about who's the most powerful or things of that nature. It's really who resonates with your cause, and do they have the connections that they say they have. So even though we see one group that's like, okay, this might be it, we always interview at least 3 to just make sure we got the right pick. And we find that that combination allows us to pick the best person for the job. So we don't have anybody to name right this minute, but I've already started, setting these interviews up, and we will definitely have that set for you guys once we make the perfect decision.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, Darren, for answering all my questions.
Appreciate you, Carlos, and they were great questions. All right. So, all righty. So next we're going to go to Andrew Wilkins. Andrew, go ahead and unmute yourself. Tell us your name, a little bit about your business, and then your question.
Sure. Okay. Sorry about that. So my name's Andrew. I'm an operating partner at a company called Ritzy Room. We own and operate 8 different buildings, 100 units, 75 of those are furnished. And so this is a very big deal to us, what's going on. I will say the majority of our client base, though, they're 1+ months. So like but a growing part of our business is less than a month. So, and it's been like phenomenal, what it's done for our business. So the idea of not being able to do like a 5-night minimum, just to, fill gaps in bookings, and, maybe I have a unit where no one's moving in for like 3 weeks. So I got 21 days that this is just going to burn if it goes through. So I have a background in, community work. This program right here, I didn't wear this for this meeting. I need to do laundry, so I picked the closest shirt to me. But as far as organizing, there's a lot of there's a lot of causes, and it's super. I think it's super important. Like, even if you feel like you're bugging your peers in a space, to have more people jump on these, and kind of like buddy system, make sure that people jump into calls like this. But my question, I have pretty good relationships with a lot of the people that are that work for the big platforms like Airbnb. I'm in regular contact with their multifamily rep here. So what he does is he sells Airbnb to multifamily communities. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him lately. I also am pretty well connected with a regional person at VRBO. There's another company called Landing. So there's a lot of these companies, and I know you mentioned that it's a good idea to have a lobbyist that represents this group or this community. But as far as like the contacts we have with them, do you think that they would be useful as far as, even if it's just like, are they permitted to donate to that $7,000 to $20,000 that you're talking about, or is there something that says that that's against the law?
You brought up some great points, and that's why I love these Q&As, because it really gets the real specific details that the community is looking for out in the open. And so I've like, hey, people, pull out your pens. This is some good notes to take right here. But basically, let me tell you a little bit about how that works. Well, first of all, with regards to the Airbnb contacts, we're connected to the policy team, and those are really the folks that really do the advocacy work. So we have that connection already, but please do not hesitate to share that information with us. I think you're already on the email list, right?
I'm not. No,
Okay.
I've done a really bad job at being involved in just the industry communities, but
Sure.
something I'm working on.
Hey, you're here now, so you've already worked on it. You're doing the right thing. Feel free to send a private message if you want to share that information. But we do have the connection with who we need to be connected with, and the policy team is really they're the key to connecting and doing advocacy work with specifically Airbnb. And the way that works is the Airbnb cannot donate to these community associations directly, and I should say this, they cannot support them directly, and we don't want them to support them directly, to support us directly either. And here's why. The reason why Airbnb, with all of their billions of dollars, cannot make changes to these ordinances that in a good way is because of the perception. No matter how much money they have, the problem is, the thing about real estate, it is really governed by the cities, and it's a local game. And when Airbnb tries to lobby and say, hey, you guys should open this up to more people, they're not a local business. They have no local connection to the city at all. And what it looks like, and what the city council members will use, is say, hey, you're some big billion-dollar corporation trying to, influence local politics and influence local policies, and that looks horrible. That's why all of the lobbying that they did, and they started doing this in New York and LA. This is when the first regulations started coming out, and they really, they went really, really hard on that, and they were not successful, and that's why. So they understand this, and so the thing is, they cannot, they do not. They are very weak in that regard, and it's not their fault. It's just the nature of how things are set up. They're a large global corporation, and this is dealing with real estate. So what happens is, if they actually support us, it is then that is put on us now. Then city council can say, oh man, you guys are just a puppet organization from Airbnb, again, trying to influence local policies and stuff like that. So we actually lose our power if we were to take money from them. But they understand that, and they have their own legal ramifications saying that they can't directly do this, and they understand that dynamic already. So they won't do it, and they shouldn't do it. Now they do in other ways, and they know this too, and that's why they do it. What they do is, for instance, with us, we have a connection with the policy team where now we didn't do it for this one. Again, this is more about getting an intimate group of folks that really are interested in the cause. But when we have events, for instance, the in-person event that we're going to have later on in September, it's going to be more towards the end of September, really like the end of September. What they will do is they will blast those emails to everybody, all the hosts in the city that have signed up for policy emails. So it really allows the community to get the word out and increase their influence. Does that make sense? And that's actually very powerful. And that's better than them donating to us directly. So they help us in that front. That alone could cost, I think you're part of a large business. You know how hard it is to get a huge email list of clients, right? I mean, that's almost like the same thing. So them allowing us basically access to their list is crucial. That's a big deal. So that is what we already have in place. And basically, that is how they support the most. And also, when there's events, they also support by doing, they'll do sometimes contribute to like the food or the drinks for these local events. So they're happy to do things like that. That's how they can indirectly support. Do you see what I mean? But they cannot donate actual funds to the organization. So that's how we utilize them.
Okay, so I get it. That's probably lobbying 101. So, but yeah, what about like secondary parties? Like, I mean, like it sounds like you brought up a lot of other cities where this this has been kind of a looming thing and it's been beat. Like who are some people in my community, like restaurant owners, other business owners, people that own multifamily where they're allowing, arbitrage or Airbnb operators to come in there. Like what kind of people should we be reaching out to other than just other hosts?
For sure. And that's a great question too. So the first people you really want to reach out to are the hosts, because folks like you who have large portfolios are coming on and understanding what's going on. That's always the core. But the other thing that is useful to do is to reach out to local businesses, such as restaurants, especially. Restaurants are some of the best local businesses to reach out to because they get direct benefits from short-term rentals, aka their guests coming to visit their restaurant, and they, being a local restaurant, have great local influence on their community. So that's always these are always great businesses to reach out to. And I want to make sure I answered all of your question. I mean, I'd say that's the biggest thing. And like you said, secondary businesses, Airbnb is really Airbnb, VRBO, those guys, like the big, we'll say the big two. I mean, we know there's others, but those are the ones that you really don't want to have donating to your cause. And they know this, and they legally, they basically, they can't. But other companies, such as property management companies, channel managers, just to give you an example, and other initiatives, we've gotten sponsors such as Price Labs, such as Hospitable was interested in sponsoring and is likely trying to do some things there. We have a great partner in Minute. If you know the Minute device, they're very active in helping communities with advocacy efforts. And we are looking and talking with them to bring their support on to this initiative as well. So those are the folks that can help. But the number one folks where the most of the funds always come from is the people. So the local businesses, whether it be short-term rentals, sometimes restaurants, things like that, and the management companies, that's where the funding comes from the most. We need those folks to be able to chip in.
Okay, awesome. Well,
I wanted to just comment as well, and I know you mentioned this in other discussions that we've had and some of the other events and groups, is a lot of people think as a fallback, because I know for a big portion of our portfolio as well, we do more than 30-day stays. However, unfortunately, that's not a fallback necessarily, because as we know, there are very many markets that have 60-day minimums, 90-day minimums, 6-month minimums. And so in some cases, going down this path where, strict regulations start to be adopted, who's to say that won't get any stricter than it is now, right? So I won't say that, not to think that you're not safe, but don't have the false perception that's not necessarily a possibility in the future. And so that's why we want to be proactive and kind of get ahead of this now and start to have those negotiations and transparency along the way to create something that makes sense for both sides. So
I could not have said that better myself. I'm so glad you chimed in on that, Mike. And this is from data, guys. It's a slippery slope. That's the thing you guys want to understand here. If you are just simply in the short-term rental industry, and I really see that as folks who are in corporate housing, if you're not dealing with people with year-long leases, traditional tenants only, then you should be concerned about these things that are being proposed here, because it is a slippery slope. I'm telling you guys, there's instances in other cities where they started with an inch and then they took a mile. They started, and they'll strategically do this too. They know that they don't know everything about the industry, but the folks spearheading this know that this is a popular industry. So they know they don't want to rile up a large group of folks, and they will try and as sneakily as possible get their way. So they'll start with one line item that maybe, I do mainly 30-day stays, or I do 2-week stays. I'm not worried about short term. I'm good, whatever. And then they'll add on something else later on. And see, the thing is, once they get an ordinance in place, it's like the foot in the door. It's so much easier to then add an amendment, add some sort of line item. Like once they do that, that's the slippery slope, and then you're almost too far gone, and then and it's very, very hard to go back. So you really want to nip this in the bud, and it's about awareness, guys. That's the big thing. When we say we're not fighting really against council. We're fighting the perception. We're fighting the lack of awareness. We are really coming to the table with them, showing them, hey, we're the guys that you want to protect, because we really are. In every city, we were the folks that they really wanted to protect. They just don't understand this. So getting that awareness out will make it to where they don't even try to do that slippery slope. That's the big piece here. So getting that awareness, which would cause them to pull this ban, then we're officially at the table the right way, where we then won't have to worry about them trying to come back with something different or something worse. They're going to then be like, okay, yeah, we need to get out bad actors, but let's work with this community, and then we can do this the right way. And that's what's happened in all the cities we've worked in. And I'll even give a quick case study again to the people that jumped on. Columbus, Ohio was one of those places where they were proposing a ban just like you guys's, that was going to basically wipe out everybody. And then they went through they did the right things and got it pulled. And then what happened was, about 2 years later, when they wanted to put in something that actually took out the bad actors, they then put in, with the help of that association, they put in the 3-strike rule that made it where if the fire marshal comes to your place, I'm talking like a real issue, that is where a city official is coming out and it's on record, then you get a strike, and then 3 strikes, you're out. And that's their way of taking out bad actors. But everybody's allowed to get a license. And that's really, I think everybody would agree, is a great setup alone. So this has already happened, guys. Like the proof's in the pudding. We're here. So we just need to do this here and get that established. So for everybody who you're doing longer term stays, this is still the solution, so they don't do that slippery slope to you guys and then start taking out your bread and butter and everything like that. So yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Mike. That was a great point. Let's go to Elijah. Go ahead and introduce yourself, etc., and then we'll go to Micah, and then we're gonna start going to some of these chats. I want to make sure y'all get some attention too. Elijah, go right ahead.
Sure. I want to make sure I don't butcher your name, because I did come in later, but how do you say your name?
All good. I get this all the time. Darren.
Darren. Okay.
It's like Darren with a TH instead of a D. That's the best way to how it's pronounced.
Okay, got you. So just a brief introduction to me. My name is Elijah Blau. I'm a creative entrepreneur, have an online business where I basically teach young people personal finance and do some consulting for freelancers and small businesses. Got in the short-term rental space kind of as a little experiment. I said I'd do it for a year, then I'd decide if I would keep doing it the rental arbitrage way. And it's been about 9 months. I've already decided I like the way things are going, so I'm going to stay in the space. So you can imagine this kind of thing popping up would definitely be inconvenient, to say the least. But
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but yeah, my question, actually, a lot of what I was going to ask you did address in your last statement, but I did have one question. So I did see the podcast that you did with Micah and Steven, and I want to ask you, what's the biggest problem that you've ever encountered when doing this whole process? I know so far it hasn't failed, but I'm pretty sure you've encountered some kind of problem that was either a hold up or a setback, just to kind of give an idea of maybe what we might go through when we're going through this whole process.
For sure. Man, y'all are just on fire with these questions. I love them, man. I'm glad we're recording this. This is going to help a lot of people out. So, and I like that question because it allows me to think back down memory lane. There's so many case studies. I want to think of something that really resonates with Dallas specifically. There's a ton of options, but let's see. I would say, see, the beauty about this strategy, especially where you guys are at, is as long as we're able to hire that lobbyist and they're the right lobbyist, which our screening process has not failed. It's very, first of all, it's very intuitive. It's not easy to really get wrong, because you can easily understand if, like, asking a consultant, hey, what connections do you have? And if they don't name people in city council like that, and they don't resonate with your message, you can automatically, it's pretty easy to weed folks out, and people have reputations in city government and whatnot. But, in getting the lobbyists and really having the connection with the community, there really isn't so much that is too tough. I mean, because it's really natural at that point. What I mean by that is, it's not like we have some very, where we have to have some highly constructed master plan with super I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's what this is doing is creating a channel to present what's already there. What they care about is what you guys are naturally exuding already. We don't need some master speaker. We don't need some master skilled individual besides the lobbyist. What we need is folks like people on this call just being themselves and saying, hey, like how you just said your story, that's a lot of what would be conveyed to city council. And see, the difference is in us creating that channel, they actually end up listening to us, versus when this is done at a city council meeting or just from a personal phone call. It's almost kind of like, think about how they say, you never want to represent yourself in court. It's a lot like that. Even if you're a lawyer, you know every single thing and line item, I could defend myself to the death, I got it, I could do this. They still always say, no, you need to get another professional to do that. Because and the reason they say that, it's not just oh, they can do it better than you. No, it's like, it's almost like a language. By not doing that, it's like you're speaking Chinese to a city council person that only knows English. You could be saying everything and you're speaking correctly, but it's going to go in one ear and out the other. They're just not going to get it. But in getting introduced via a consultant that has the connections and positions you the right way, and then the fact that they know that, hey, this community paid for this consultant, so they're serious and they're a big base. Like, all of this matters. Does that make sense? It really makes it very simple at that point. I mean, really, I'd say the biggest thing then is just to make sure that, like, keeping the public informed, making sure people understand what we're doing to feel comfortable donating the funds, to actually keep that council, to keep the lobbyists going, and keep the stuff that we have to do in the organization, that the costs for that going. That's really the work that we do on our end. But we feel really good about that too, because that's what we've had to do for 10 cities. And that's where my expertise comes in. That's why I got this suit on. Notice I don't call it a costume, I call it a suit. Okay, it's right next to my business suit. Okay, but we got that in spades. We know how to raise awareness and fundraise and really get people to understand what's going on so that they donate. So it's hard to say. I'd say it's just kind of, when we get over that hump, as long as people are convinced, hey, this is the thing to do, here, let's donate right now, that's really it. I'd say that's the biggest hurdle, because everything else really happens naturally. Hopefully that gives you context. Yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah, so pretty much it's a systematic approach, and that system has been refined and done over and over and over and over again, to the point it just comes down to just implementing that system and the game plan, and maybe making a few tweaks every now and then based on that local market or fundraising tactics. Would you say that? Exactly. Okay. So that way, the information can get conveyed to the right people, instead of it being conveyed to individuals. It's like Charlie Brown. You're just hearing like this womp. There's just not communicating.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. And and I thought of something. So now when I say that, like, as long as we're able to do what we're here to do, meaning you guys are supporting us both with your commitment in terms of like showing up and raising, like, spreading the awareness and fundraising when we need it. It's not, there aren't any real difficulties, because like you said, we've worked this system and we know what to expect. But I will tell you a funny story that I think will let you understand that, hey, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows with this stuff happening. So let me explain this, and this goes to how powerful the strategy is. I'll go all the way back to Detroit. Once we started having these conversations, and this is the first time we had done it in Detroit. We started having these conversations. We didn't necessarily know what the outcome was going to be. We saw like, okay, yeah, this is working, I guess. They seem like they're listening, but now let's see kind of what happens after that. And when we really started understanding it was working is when the lobbyists that we had, because again, the lobbyists know everyone. They know the people on both sides. They know the people that are anti short-term rentals that really spearheaded it. And they know the people that are basically neutral or whatever, and anybody who might be pro short-term rentals. So they have meetings with these folks all the time. It's almost like being a part of council. They're always talking to these people. So this lobbyist had a meeting with the person who spearheaded the bill, and the person who spearheaded the bill told him, and this is supposed to be in confidence, but he did let us know. She was like, you know what? Hey, you're on the wrong side of the politics here. You're on the wrong side. You're on the losing side, buddy. Look, you're coming up against me. I'm going to make sure you never work in this city again. We're never going to support you in anything. Blah blah blah. And so, like, just straight up threatening him. Like, you know the term mudslinging. That's not even really mudslinging, but it's some negative. That's what I'm talking about. But guess what? When you have the opposition doing that, that means you struck a nerve. That means you're effective. That means that they feel threatened. Does that make sense? And that is something, it doesn't always happen, but that's something that when something negative kind of pops up, like a threat or something, then we know, oh yeah, we're making moves here. We're making the right changes, because that only happens if somebody sees you as a threat. They don't see you guys as a threat at all right now, because, and it's nobody's fault. It's just, it's not being done through the proper channels. Like, everything's not being activated. So they know they're having these conversations. Council's minds aren't being changed right now. So they feel very safe and comfortable. That's why they're not really talking about you guys like that. But when they start making like a threat to the lobbyists, like, and the lobbyists was squeezed, like, yeah, man, we definitely are effective right now, because she dang near, was trying to threaten everything. She was like, I'm gonna make sure you don't eat, it's like, oh man. So that's how you're being successful. So hopefully that gives you like some looks behind the scenes of something that's interesting and I guess somewhat negative that they can do. But that means that you're doing a good job. And that's not something that ever affected us or anything. It's just that how you're really affecting the politics. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And just piggybacking off of what you said before, how like maybe we're 20 or 30% of the population of hosts. You look at the Revolutionary War, the majority of big wars, like 1/5 of the population fights in it, but they're the ones that make the change. We don't need all hosts to get on board. That'd be awesome, but that's not the reality of the situation. We pretty much got this. We just got to implement the system.
Exactly. No, you hit the nail on the head. That's really it. All the movements that anybody can probably think of, they were really decided by a small group of people. Even if there were masses that were fighting, if it was a war or some movement, it was a small minority of folks that really made the change. And you guys being on this call are the first of the small minority that are making this new phase of the change right here. So you guys should really pat yourselves on the back. Thanks a lot for your question. That was a great one, Elijah. I'm glad we got this recorded, because I'm sure others will find that interesting too, and I'm sure they'll find my story interesting as well. That was a day that I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not a city lobbyist, because man, I don't have time for that. That's crazy. But anyways, so Micah, let's go to you next.
Dang, bro, I really could have put my hand down, because Elijah kind of touched on my next kind of where I was leading into.
Okay.
Basically, I was kind of looking at, because I think it's about 18 of us on the call. I was really questioning, did we already have the email list from VRBO and Airbnb? And then, is this a big enough group to really be effective?
For sure.
Because I know, this is a smaller group. I don't think it's a smaller group. You've done it in other cities. Is this group big enough, or your perspective on that?
Oh, for sure. So we have access. And when I say access to the email list, they don't send us the emails of everybody in the city. What they do is we email them our event or our announcement, and then they blast it on their end. And that's how we're tapping into their email list, if that makes sense. We didn't want to do that, and this is part of our system. Because this was the first meeting that we had in the city, this is really something we wanted to put together grassroots just for us. And then what we do is we talk to Airbnb and say, hey, look, we've had this meeting already. We have, constituency. We're connected in the Facebook group. Now we're having an in-person event that's really going to be bringing more folks out. And we want to really get as many people to come out to this as possible. And then they blast it. So to answer your question, we didn't use the blast function for this meeting. That's how we have it in our system. The first virtual meeting, we don't do that. You don't want to come with just zero and be like, hey, can you just, blast us? Even though they know me, it's still like, this is the way you want to do it. And what also happens is, see, like I said, the numbers that's not the most important thing. In blasting it, you better believe you're going to get a lot of folks that are just not, they're like, y'all are here. Like, seriously, like y'all, like just the questions y'all have asked, like I know y'all are really the core audience. You're going to get a lot of folks that are just very tertiary people that they might log in. I'm trying to tell you, like it really, that really changes the dynamic of the first meeting. What we really wanted is a meeting with the really invested folks first. Then we're going to have the meeting that's really more for and attracting the masses. We want them too, but like I said, y'all are a very good core group. And actually, I think what we'll do, we tend to do this in every city. The first meeting that we have is where we find a lot of the folks that we're willing to have to be in a group chat with. So we'll actually give everybody here the invite if they want to, and don't spam it. You guys got to be, we all got to be, sensible on there. But you guys will be in the exclusive group chat that we have for the core people that are like, hey, these guys are serious. They showed up first. They're really, they really want to make sure they understand what's going on. So that's usually what we do. So you guys will have access to that. And then we're going to be opening it up to everybody else for the in-person meeting later on in September. And to give you an idea about the numbers, yes, Mike, it's actually funny. It's almost like a science. Every first meeting has between 18 to 25 people. And that's how many people we have on this right now. It peaked at, I think, 20 something. I think it's at 13 right now. We're actually at the end of the time frame. So like technically, but we'll still take a couple more questions. But yes, so everything's going perfectly. You guys are, and come on, and look, you on the call, Micah. We got celebrities on the call. Mike and Steve. I mean, see, this is who it attracts. Look, just the fact that you on, you should understand. Oh yeah, we got what it takes. I mean, it got me on here. Okay.
Oh no, man, don't listen to this guy.
I'm gonna keep it chill after that, man. That's the last. I'm not gonna blow your spot up. That's it. I'm gonna cut that out of the recording. All right, I'm gonna cut it out. But yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. And yeah, we're really in the perfect position. Let's see. So okay. So actually, Will is next. Will, go ahead, and then we're gonna start taking some of the chats real quick. So we'll go right ahead.
What's going on? Thanks for organizing this tonight. So this is kind of a dumb question, but I sat in on.
Hang on real quick. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, man. So I'm 25 years old. I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin about 2.5 years ago, and got into the home building business. So I'm a home builder. I started in Austin, and then through my research over the last year, I realized I wanted to get an Airbnb. So I saved up all my funds since graduating from college and launched my first Airbnb. I bought a 4-bedroom house, 2,500 square feet, about 5 minutes away from downtown. Literally put probably basically my life savings into it. Liquidated my 401k, like everything, went all in. So just launched it about 10 days ago. So, obviously I was kind of racking my nerves over the summer when all this first came out, because I bought it thinking like, okay, there might be some minor regulations, like that's no big deal. I can work around that. And then they started talking about a full ban. I was like, holy crap, well, I'm already too late and I'm already too invested. So I'm just going to keep on going with it. And, yeah, that's where I'm at now. But one question I had was like, I sat in on that ZOAC meeting yesterday, and like really a lot of the people against the ban or for the ban are just so anti-STR, and it seems like they'll do literally anything to get those homes out of their neighborhood. When you say like a 3-strike rule where you could call 311 or 911, and if they show up or a fire marshal shows up, that's a strike. What's to stop these people from literally just calling 911 every single weekend and just like logging these complaints and just spamming the city's like potential inbox for this and just getting them removed? Because I swear to God, people are going to do that. Like that's definitely, there are definitely some people who will go down that route. So, you know, it's kind of off the wall, but like some people definitely need to worry about that.
For sure. So basically the big distinction is that with the 3-strike rule, you have things put in place where it's not as easy as like a neighbor trying to just force the situation. In Columbus, they have a system where like, and I want to say that there's stuff where, again, it's like the fire marshal's coming, not just, you know, a 911 call and then maybe a police officer shows up 2-3 hours later or something like that, or an ambulance. There's systems in place to really have that where it's okay. Because, you know, also, you know, you can get in trouble for just doing a random false 911 call too. That's not something that that's not a thing that you can just continually do. There's checks and balances on that as well. So they already have things in place in cities where it really protects against like people doing things in a malicious way, which that would definitely be categorized under. So it wouldn't just be like a simple city visit. We're talking about like a serious situation that, again, is logged in public record. So think about it like this. If 911 gets called and then the cops show up and it's like, okay, well, there's nothing going on, or, oh, somebody's watching a movie too loud. I don't understand what the situation is. They're not logging that with the city as, oh, this was an incident, blah, 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 blah. They're seeing this as like, okay, well, nothing happened, so nothing's getting logged. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Yeah, so these are the checks and balances they have in place. This has to be something that's actually logged as an incident by the city. That is only going to be happening if there's an actual incident when they show up. And yeah, people who do that, they better beware if they're just going to constantly try and call the cops to different places, because that can backfire after a while for sure. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. And then kind of one more thing I wanted to add. So we only had a minute to talk yesterday, so I was planning on talking about this, but just literally did not have time. But one stance I don't think really anybody on the zoning board or city council is really taking into account is how bad the housing demand has gotten over the last 8 months, you know, up until August, and how bad it's going to get. And the implications for
how bad what's going to get?
The demand for housing in Dallas right now, okay, with interest rates rising and the price is so high. Like, as a home builder, we've sold 4 homes out of 30 in the last 6 months in my neighborhood. I mean, demand is just completely stopped. So if you have all of these rentals, let's say, I mean, 6,000, something like that, probably not all of them are, you know, have a mortgage, you know, some of them are, you know, the arbitrage method, but let's just say 4,500. Not all those homes are going to make it to the long-term market or even going to survive a midterm market, and they're going to have to get listed for sale. I can guarantee right now it's going to force so many foreclosures if we have thousands of homes just flood the market over a, you know, 2 to 3 to 4 month period. Like, it's going to put a lot of people in serious financial distress. And that's one thing I don't think they understand. They think it's as simple as like, oh, okay, just find a long-term tenant or find, you know, some kind of midterm way to like rent it out. But no, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be forced to sell, and there's not buyers for these homes right now. So
that, you know, I definitely resonate with that. And, you know, the more reason, especially as we're coming on a recession, it's like the more reason to get people to sell these assets and to just, you know, ruin existing business that's keeping people going and funding their lives, funding their college funds, all of that stuff, the necessities. it's just something that we don't need as a community or a society right now. So I absolutely agree, and I'll let people know that really the way that this works is you have to really get the people in front that they care about first, and really go on the emotional side to an extent. Now, I don't mean somebody like sitting there crying in front of them or something exactly, but I mean, hey. Sure, but it's really you're basically getting that awareness in terms of, okay, these are people that I care about, and then what happens is they'll start listening to the data, they'll start listening to the logic behind things. And I know that a lot of people have tried doing the logic first, and what happens is, because they already feel that you guys are kind of the enemy, or you're not who they care about, they're not even listening to the logic side of things, and that's also coupled with their lack of understanding of the industry in general. So it's they don't even have a good foundation to take in your logic and your data. They're just like and in one ear and out the other. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Will. And I think that was a really good point. I wanted to. Oh, fantastic! Thank you so much, Will.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So I want to take a second now, because we're getting to the end of this call, and I want to reiterate our what we need from the community. We definitely need you guys to spread the word, but also right this minute, we really need folks to donate so that we can reach our $7,000 goal. So I have on the screen our GoFundMe, where $2,500 has been donated on the GoFundMe. We actually got another donation before the GoFundMe was set up, so we're at $3,500. So these are folks just like you who have decided to donate to the community and really be a part of the cause. So everybody on here, I want to say once again, you guys have the chance to be the real true core supporters. So if you guys are the real true core supporters and you guys are truly one of us, I call all of you to action, to donate now, so that we can get this goal and we can start hiring this lobbyist. If everybody here on this call donated the price of one night stay, just $250, we would easily be reaching this goal by now. And then if you donate more, we're going to get past it, and we're going to be able to move even further. So I urge that people donate what they can. If you can donate $500, do it. If you can donate $250, everybody on this call should be able to do that at least, because that is the price of one night stay in a general short-term rental. And this is the best investment you can make in your business. And Andrew Wilkins asked, are donations tax deductible? Yes, donations are tax deductible. And so note this, and you will be able to deduct this on your taxes as well. This is a nonprofit donation. So guys, there's really no reason not to donate now. And if we can get this cleared now, we can literally start hiring these lobbyists and getting this stuff going as soon as this week. And time is of the essence. Really quick, what I want to do is I have so I know Steve has a question. I want to bring Mike up real quick, and then I'm gonna go right next to Steve, because not Mike, Micah, excuse me. I want to get Micah's attention real quick, because I know that they have an announcement to make. So Micah, I want to just go ahead and talk to you for 1 second. I'll wait for you to unmute. My bad. I didn't know if you was ready or not. I don't want to speak out of turn here. You good? Let's see. I'm asking you to unmute Micah. Unmute your mic. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, it looks like they're. Oh, there it is.
Are you telling me to unmute?
Yeah. Oh man.
I was my bad. I was typing something, but I was listening. My bad. I was on the call. I was actually typing and saying I was muted, but I was.
Man, I was over here bigging you up, man. It's okay. In the podcast, I understand, man. It's all good. I understand. You was doing some editing, man. I understand. No, I'm just messing with you. So, Mike, I just wanted to put you guys in the spotlight. Live, let, thrive. I know you guys made a commitment to do $1,000 between you two to go to this cause. Did you want to say something about what this means to you, and kind of just talk about you doing that donation so that other people can do that as well?
Oh, Steve wasn't here to speak for us? No, but yeah, man, it's definitely. I'm definitely donating. I mean, that's the part. Oh no, I'm definitely donating. Simply being because me and Steve, when we first got in this business, we operated out of Arlington, and we seen how the shutdowns can happen, what happens, and it can be really negligent to people's business. We had a friend here in Arlington who was renting out rooms in his house, in his personal home, to take care of his sick mother, and Arlington shut it down. You know what I mean? Basically intruded on his whole right to rent rooms in his home that he lived in. So yeah, it definitely means a lot. You know, I do have a short-term rental business that has a few units over there in Dallas. So definitely think you should definitely donate. Theron has been very successful in multiple cities. And you know, the cities that I've been in, too bad we didn't know Theron at the time. We would have definitely called them. But yeah, so definitely donate. And if you want to get your business up and running, for sure. And thank you for you know, coming on the podcast and really putting the message out there.
Micah, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you for giving us a larger voice. You know, the more we speak to folks, the more that we can get this out there. So, you know, thank you for being one of us, and you know, people who care about the industry, not just, you know, are in it. You guys are truly people who serve the community. So thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all. And Steve, I'm coming to you right now. You know, look, I give no preferential treatment. Steve, you know, I'm still bummed I didn't get to meet you over in Dallas, man, you know, before you got the haircut. But go ahead and unmute yourself. And I don't know, I think people know who you are, but if you want to introduce yourself, please, definitely go right ahead.
Allow me to introduce yeah, Stevie Stacks from I'm half of the Live Let Drive podcast. You know, we've been doing the short-term rental podcast for about going on 6 years now, Micah. It's been a minute. And so, yeah, we've been having fun doing it. And like Micah said, we went through a band before in Arlington. They went the hiring the lawyer route, which you have said is the big waste of money. And you're right, it was a big waste of money and time. Anyways, so that being said, also I'm half of Argus Rentals. We have a short-term rental management company. We got about 70 properties, mostly in Dallas. We got some in Fort Worth, Houston, you know, all over. And so anyway, so yeah, the question I have for you, thank you, Theron.
Oh, you got it. Yep. Oh, you got it. That's you.
No, look at his name right now. In between the T and the N, there's a hero, and that's there. Anyways,
I'm telling you right now, I literally somebody said that, I was like, holy shit! Like
that was on our show.
Mute myself out, but. That was not a plan. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, hero in your name. This is some greatness. I appreciate all you're doing for us, man. So my question, just one question, is what makes you what shows you what makes you more so confident about Dallas? And I know you have a system that works in every city. And so what signs about Dallas makes you so confident? You know, I know there was like a 4-4 vote not too long ago. And like, what things do you notice in Dallas? Whereas another city, you saw it like way worse, where you said, we might not win this. But what makes you so confident that we'll win it in Dallas?
For sure. And another great question, because this is what everybody really wants to know if they're not already convinced or see things from the explanation, which again is totally understandable, because it's not something that just feels like a straight line. You know, it's not super logical seeming, right? And that's what a lot of this politics stuff is. And that's what I had to differentiate from my business mind, you know, in operating short-term rentals. It's like, okay, this is like, if I do this, I know I'm going to get this out of it. That's generally how it works. But then when it comes to the politics side, it's like, whoa, I have to do something a little different. I have to use a totally different strategy. And so I would say the reason why I'm so confident that this will work is because it really matches up with the same behaviors that the other cities had. And that's why I say this really works almost anywhere, is because even though cities can be very different in terms of the makeup of the politicians and all of that, the reasons why people are banning short-term rentals in 90% of cities is really the same. It's really about awareness. It is the fact that they don't understand the industry, and that they are getting calls and complaints from their constituents only on the bad actors, but they're not getting any understanding or calls about the good actors. Because I mean, I think everybody understands, if you're a good actor, chances are your neighbors might not even know you have a short-term rental, right? This is the issue. And when they see that, it just seems like a negative thing to them. So if they see that this is a negative thing, and then on top of that, on the politics side, they realize, maybe I can get some brownie points by, showing that I'm for the community by banning short-term rentals and protecting the community. You end up having at least one city council member that wants to put forward a motion to ban short-term rentals, because they're only seeing the bad side, really. And they think that they're going to get points as well, because, oh, I'm protecting communities. The communities are calling me and saying that this needs to be shut down. I'm only hearing that. They're not hearing about the rest of the community and the short-term rental community that's actually benefiting greatly from this. So because the problem is basically the same everywhere, that's why the solution works so well everywhere. And to give you just like a parallel, and I'll use Detroit as an example, Detroit was doing a lot of the same things that Dallas is doing, proposing the ban, basically something that would wipe out 90%. They were doing something where it was more like a primary residence only sort of a situation, but same kind of a deal. And primary residence to the point where you couldn't even like leave the house and have somebody rent it. You had to be in the house with them. That's why it was like 90%. It's crazy. So, Dallas is doing something similar in a little bit of a different way. It's the zoning side of things. But the whole point is it's negative regulation that is being proposed based on the reasons that I just said. It's the awareness side, and they're only seeing the negative stuff. And even though people are bringing up positive examples, it's not being brought up the right way. The negative examples are being brought up the right way. I want you guys to know there are people that are actually, that they're behind the scenes bringing the negative folks into behind closed doors with these folks. And like that is the real big reason why when these things come up, they are not they're not going into the short-term rental community's favor. So that is the real reason. It's the same problem, so it has the same solution. So I'd say that's the biggest reason. Hopefully that helps. Charlotte, North Carolina also had a similar situation. Like there's so many cities that I can name, not even just the ones that I worked in, that it's the same reasons that these things popped up. And if we do what we're doing right now, there's no reason why it shouldn't have the same effect. I'm literally seeing everything as like paint by numbers. Oh, also the stuff where it's going through zoning, the zoning commission and these different commissions before it gets back to city council. That's the same thing that happened in other cities that we worked in. And this is the time that we had the lobbyists speaking to these officials and we were getting behind closed doors. So by the time it got back to council, the minds were already changed and they just pulled it because they knew they wouldn't get the votes. So hopefully that answers your question, Steve. Let me know if there was any other clarification you needed. This will be helpful for others as well. So definitely want to know if that made sense for you. Ooh, let's see. Michael, you might have to sub in. I think. Oh, there's Steve. Let's see. Was that good? I didn't see. Did you have anything else to say, Steve?
Oh no, I mean you answered. Yeah, you answered it well. I just wanted to see the parallels that you've seen with Dallas and the other cities because, like I said, it doesn't seem like they're crazy fanatical about banning it, just like Arlington was. Arlington, it seemed like they just railroaded us, and it was a quick vote and quick out. You know what I'm saying? And Dallas seems like they're dragging their feet a long time on this, really thinking about it. So I just thought if you at least see that as a positive.
Oh, and I'm glad to see. That's why I wanted to get feedback from you on that sense. So we've noticed that, and that. So anytime there's a delay or there's some sort of dragging of feet, that is a positive. But the thing is, it's not a positive to where you let it go. It's a positive as like, oh, we have an advantage. They're not able to just push this through as completely or as quickly as they want to. But there's tons of situations where, and examples where it's they've dragged their feet on it for years and then they finally get something passed. I mean, actually, Philadelphia is one of those cities where they were kind of dragging their feet, and then around the COVID time is when they really were able to do some work and then sneak it through and then get it passed. So, and you guys, everybody in the industry already has a strike against them because of COVID. COVID brought out some of the worst actors, and I think everybody understands that. So, the time is of the essence. The fact that they're dragging their feet is an advantage, but it does not mean that they're not going to pass it. This is absolutely all of the signs that have come up in Dallas are the signs that have come up in other cities where they then got serious and they passed the bill. So yeah, it's a good sign, but it's not a sign that it is over. It's a sign that we're doing this at an opportune time. Does that make sense? If we don't, then it's just going to get worse and worse, and they are going to pass it. And I would say, again, 45 days to maybe January, if you're lucky. If we did nothing, they would then try and pass it then. So, and that's only because January is only because they go on recess towards the November, December period. So yeah, it's really right around the corner. So we have to act now.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
For sure. Okay, guys, this was, I think, a really great session. We went a little bit over, but I think it was worthwhile. I really want to give folks the time to donate again. Again, this is the time to donate. If we can get this, done on record right now, that would be a big win. We can, let everybody know, hey, we got what we need. We can get the lobbyists. We're doing this right now. So if you haven't donated yet, please donate now. All right. Live, Let, Thrive is donated. We have other people that have donated. We've gotten $3,500 to start. Besides Live, Let, Thrive's donation, we need your help to get this totally finished. And I will do this for the folks that really care about this, because the fact that you got on this call means you really care about at least keeping your business going, if not the community's. Anybody who donates $250 or more right now will get into a private chat group with us that I mentioned, where you guys can reach out to us at any time. You don't have to wait for the emails to go out. You guys are clearly one of us, and clearly people who are invested in this industry and want to see this succeed. So we will put you guys in a group chat, and we will share the information that we have on a very regular level, so you guys get direct access to us. So that's what we have for the folks that are, donating and really showing that they're one of us and care about the industry. So I'm going to give some time for people to do that. The link is in the chat. Please, and let it be known if you donated already. Definitely, let that be known, so that people also know that the momentum is coming in. So I'm going to put the link in again. It's right here. And so there's the link. Go to your chat and hit the donate button and donate now. Again, anybody who donates $250 or more, you'll get into a private group chat with us where we discuss everything behind the scenes. This is not something that we're bringing out to the public because we can't. That's going to jeopardize the relationships with city council members. But if you really want to be an insider and understand what's going on a day-to-day level, then donate now and you will get into that chat. And this is only something that we're going to do in this call, because $250, we appreciate it. But when more people come in, other people are going to be doing that. And there's people that are donating thousands. Okay. And we appreciate them. So this is something that we're offering to you guys right now. So this is not going to be something we're offering after this call. So you have to donate now. So to give you guys a chance to do that, I'm going to go ahead and let Mike give any closing thoughts that he had, and then we're going to go ahead and shut down. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Theron. Well, yeah, definitely want to thank everyone, for your time tonight. We know that, as I mentioned before, a lot of us are busy. We have families. Obviously, we're trying to run a business, so on and so forth. So definitely being able to take the time out is much appreciated. And we look forward to meeting you all in person when we have our in-person event in September. I know there's always a different cadence and kind of connection you have when you can see someone in person, shake a hand, so on and so forth. If you all were able to attend, the Dallas STRA meetup that was held a couple of months back, well, I think it was a big success, and being able to see all of those individuals all in one place, it had a different feeling, right? It's easy to be behind a keyboard and virtual, and I know to some degree that may be some of the limitations for some folks, but when you are able to make it in person, it's excuse me, it's always best to kind of show up, be present, be engaged, be active, and encourage others to do so as well, right? Especially if you know that you can't make it. I love what somebody brought up earlier about the buddy system. I think that's something that is highly encouraged and is needed by any operator in the industry, is to have a buddy system and a strong connection with folks that are local that you can lean on. In many ways, the folks in the Live, Let, Thrive group and others have been that to me, and I'm definitely appreciative of that and getting to know and get connected with Theron to get this all started. So I look forward to continuing the conversation. You've already got my commitment, Theron, financially to donate to the cause, and we're trying to get other folks to do that as well.
Mike, I appreciate your commitment in more ways than one. You've committed your time, you're committing your presence, and the fact that you're committing financially is, just shows how much you care about the industry. And I'm not surprised, but it's still a heartwarming thing. So, and Steve just put in the chat, boom, donated. guys, you know, I want you guys to be next. You get to be in the group chat with us. That's just an extra perk for people who are really, who are really supporting us in this industry. Go right ahead and follow suit. And if you donate before this call is over, then we'll go ahead and add you to the group. Thank you so much, Steve, for everything you do in general, and thank you for donating to the cause for Dallas. So, guys, I think this is a good time to go ahead and wrap things up. It was a pleasure having you guys on. And I want to make one last quick announcement. This is, just the beginning with regards to our outreach and our awareness. You guys have gotten in early. You guys have heard, what is going on before everybody else is really opening their eyes to this stuff. But we're already moving behind the scenes. Like I said, this is something that we're already ready to start to stop. We do not need the masses to join this. We have what we need. We have the strategy. We have the SEAL Team 6 ready to make this happen. We just need the support from you guys. So this is just the first event. We're going to have another event in late September. We're going to finalize that event before the end of next week, and that will be an in-person event towards the end of September. I hope to see all of you there. And I hope if we reach the fundraising goal as soon as possible, I hope to be able to give you guys updates on who we've met and how we've been able to make this change already. So please donate if you haven't already. Spread the word if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys hopefully on our next in-person meeting in the late September. We'll definitely announce that via the email list and via the Facebook group. To really stay tuned on things, you need to sign up to our email list. So go to sharingdallas.org and sign up to the email list. It's right there, sharingdallas.org. Putting it in the chat before we all get out of here. I want to shout out Elijah. Elijah Beloved just donated as well. Thank you, Elijah. We're going to add you in the group chat as well. Anybody else, this is your last chance. Donate, let us know. If not, it's too late. So this is your last chance. All right, everybody, I think we can go ahead and shut down. I appreciate you guys and looking forward to making this big change in Dallas. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye. Till next time.
Thanks again, Theron.
Thank
Have a great
you.
night.
Bye, everybody.